you today?
Very fine, thank you.
Good. Well, you're a speaker today on a panel, and talk to us about what you're going to be speaking about.
Sure. We're a panel on the policy of climate change regulation in this country. And of course, with the failure of the Senate to act on a comprehensive climate bill, the question was how successful or how effective is this patchwork of state and federal regulations, and where do we go from here? I think the good news is that although we don't have a comprehensive bill, there's actually been a lot of progress in many ways. The Department of Energy, for example, has moved forward with standards on a whole range of appliances, making them much more efficient, therefore use much less energy, cost much less to the consumer, and pollute much less. These are standards that really have been backlogged for a decade, so there's been this flood coming out. Similarly, in another sector, the transportation sector, the Department of Transportation and EPA together came out with the fuel efficiency standards, making our cars more efficient, really more than doubling their fuel efficiency from where they were to where they will be in 2025, making our trucks more efficient. And again, that's tremendous reduction in oil use. It helps our national security, it helps our trade deficit, and reduction in pollution. And finally, in another major sector, buildings, there is a real effort on a number of fronts to make sure both new buildings are cleaner, and we're beginning to work on how to retrofit old buildings so that they are both more comfortable and more attractive to live and work in, but also save energy. So there's been a lot of good things moving forward. There's been climate regulation in the Northeast, what's called the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. One of my co-panelists, Jonathan Schrag, is the director of that. There's also, of course, been tremendous progress in California. So that's the good news. The bad news is that the science marches on, carbon emissions march on. In other parts of the developing world, and frankly the developed world, Canada, for example, emissions continue to rise, and so we have a lot more to do.
And a lot of people right now are turning their finger at Obama, trying to get him to do something. What can he do, and what's his role in all of this?
Well, there are a number of specific rules that are on the agenda for the agencies. The Environmental Protection Agency, for example, is going to be scheduled to be issuing rules both to reduce what we think of as conventional pollution, the pollution that kills us or sickens our children and causes smog and acid rain, and also carbon pollution. And so we are very hopeful, and of course at NRDC we are pushing very hard to make sure the President's agencies move forward with those rules. I think it's important, though, and I said this to the panel, and I've said this many other times, that we not sit back, whether it be environmentalists or whether it be the progressive businesses that recognize that this country needs a sensible energy policy. They can't sit back and say nothing and just hope the president acts. They have to get their voices heard. Right now, the voices that are being heard in Washington, and you can see this by the crazy political non-dialogue, are the voices of those who just want to say no to everything. And yet the great news is that history shows that environmental regulation spurs a tremendous amount of innovation, not only in the pollution sector, but in other sectors. It makes us healthier. These save our country money. The claim is that these regulations cost jobs and money. They don't. They save money to the country. They create jobs. They make us all healthier. They make us more competitive. So we need those voices, the health community, the business community, those who are thinking longer term, to be much louder, to back the president up.